It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome to the School of Marvelous Light. So things are not what they seem, are they? As you've lived and grown in this world, you realize that things are not what they seem. And you ought to start to understand Yahushua's words more and more as you go along in this world. And they'll start to make more and more sense. Like that time when they came to him and said that his mother and his brother wanted to speak to him. And he stood up in the midst of that congregation that was listening to him and said, "These are my mother and my brother, those who do the will of the Father. They are my mother and my brother." And when you're young in this world, you don't really understand that. You think in your mundane life, your mother, your brother, your sister that you can see, 3D family, that's your family. But you start to understand Christ's words as you grow in your faith and in your truth. When he said those words, "I came to bring division," they start to make sense in your life after a while. Because you are under a great illusion and great deception that it's peace is what Christ came to bring to the earth. And many people still insist that that is the case, though it is furthest from the case. It's just not true. If you let his words be true, you'll see it. You'll say, wait a minute. He said, think not. So wait a minute. The whole wide world is telling me to think that he came to send peace on earth. But he said, think not that I am come to send peace on earth, but a sword of division. And then he told you who he was going to divide. And he told you who your enemies would be. They of your own household. See how it goes? And then when you experience it and you know it's true, then you run back to the master and you say, teach me more. Show me more about this. Now that you have said it before, it has come to pass in my life. So that when it come to pass, I'll believe you. Now I'm believing you now. Now I'm believing you now because I'm seeing it. Y'all haven't had that type of revelation in your life where you've been cast aside for the truth's sake? Because you were unwilling to go along with the crowd. You were unwilling to just go along with everybody else. And what they were doing and what they thought was right. Just like I said, Christ came to send peace. Isn't that right, brother? And then I guess that so-called peer pressure kicks in and you feel like you have to go, yes, that's right. Even though it's not right at all. It's actually wrong. It ain't even kind of right. It's just flat out wrong. You see how that works? And it's amazing when you see it. It's amazing when you experience it. And you go, wait a minute. So he already told me this, and then here it is happening. Well, what does the scripture say? The Spirit of Christ is the spirit of prophecy. You see why all the prophets were called Son of Man? And so was Christ called Son of Man? You see why? Because the Spirit is the Spirit of Christ that dwelleth in you. Unless you fail to meet the test, the scripture says. Christ be in you. You see? And so when you realize that and you accept it and you say, wait, Christ is in me, so that is why I am suffering these things. I am suffering with Christ. Wow. So I need to be rejoicing over that. Like I told you, things are not always what they seem. And when you look at his word and he tells you about these things, they're going to hate you. Then you start to chill, man. His word is doing it. I don't know where y'all is getting y'all's solace from the storms that you've been living through. I don't know where y'all are getting y'all rest and respite from, other than his word, who has made it all make sense, is what I'm saying. If you're confused and finding yourself to have to go to therapy, then you ain't going to the shepherd, the head therapist, the one who heals all wounds. You ain't going to him. You don't believe him. That's what it's proven. Because if you believe that he could heal you of all your shortcomings, then you'd come to him. Boldly approach the throne of grace. What did it say? Christ came full of truth and what? Grace. Remember, go and sin no more, woman. But if you be afraid to come to him and confess your fault to him, then how can he heal you? That's what the scriptures say. But when you're able to do that and you're able to come to him and accept him as your head and say, what must I do? And he tell you and you be willing, because everybody ain't always willing, as you see. What did the rich man say? He went away sorrowfully. Why? Because he couldn't give up his great riches. He had great material wealth. Remember, you can't serve two masters. Even though that man said, I've been keeping the commandments. I want y'all to hear that. He said, I've been keeping the commandments from my youth up. What thing do I lack yet? So in other words, I've been doing the right thing my whole life. But he was serving mammon his whole life and he didn't even realize he was. That's the case with a lot of people in this world. They haven't submitted to Christ because Christ requested of us that we give those things up and follow after him and live on faith, because it is impossible to please him without faith. He said, will I find faith? That's what he's looking for. When he has proven his word to you over and over and over from the pages of a book, when you try to wrap your mind around that, you're like, wait a minute, his word endureth forever. It is just true. It's doing it. It's doing it. Each one of us, we be like, I'm just a kid born here, grew up here in this neighborhood and this, that, and the third. And here I am being elected and selected out of the world by grace to receive this knowledge of what's actually going on around me, so that I'm not heartbroken anymore. I'm not saddened by it anymore. I'm actually rejoicing in it because he told me that that's when I should rejoice. Ain't nobody else telling me that. Who else is telling you to rejoice when you're hated? Who else teaches that? Christ teaches that thing. He says, because they're not actually even hating you. They're hating me that's in you. You see that? It's him that you're hating. It's not me. So that's the thing today, that we all must understand, that it's about submitting to his words, because his words are what guide us through all temptation. What did Christ use when he was tempted? The word. Did he use anything else? So then what do you think you should use? Now, did he tell you to follow after him? Now, what do you think that means? To just get onto a street and start walking? Or follow means do like you see me doing. Live as you see me live. Now, I want to ask all of y'all, how do you think Christ lived his life? Now, all the people that say they follow him, do they live their life as he lived? It's very simple. A lot of people may not like it because they'll realize that they're in error. That's good. Don't you want to know that you're erring so that you can have a chance to correct it? You say you want to be correct, right? Well, don't you need to know if you're in error? Well, how can you get out of error if you don't believe you're in error, even though the truth is telling you that you are? You see? Deceiving yourself, denying the power thereof. Just lip service, saying words. Yes, the Lord this, and the Lord that, and the Lord this. And it's all vanity. It's not the gospel truth that sets one free, that liberates one from the jaws of death, that liberates someone from heartbrokenness. That's what he said he came to do. Now, if that ain't happening, then that person ain't of Christ. That's simple. They're not taking prison chains off of you, not liberating your mind from the lies and deceptions, that they don't speak Christ to you. They're speaking vanity. And most of these people, unfortunately, have chosen vanity to speak to you, trying to sell you something, just giving you a spiel. That's all they're doing, giving you a spiel to try to sell you something that they've already contrived up in their mind that will get gain. That's all they do. They teach the word for filthy lucre's sake. But it should be obvious who does not teach the word for filthy lucre's sake. The poor man. So blessed is the poor. For yes, he cries now, he sorrows now. Blessed are those who sorrow now, for you shall have joy. It's gonna flip. Now, you don't want to be in comfort now, and you don't want to be in great joy now. You don't. Because why? Because then when it flips, you'll find yourself in great gnashing of teeth and in great sorrow. So your daily walk should be a daily walk of endurance. Not this lie of just, oh yeah, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh. No, look, you're enduring in a race. You're enduring in a fight. And you're not fighting like you're just swinging at the air. You are trying to hit the target every time. You understand that? So that takes patience, endurance, faith, hope, and love. So that we may endure unto the end. Y'all understand that? So y'all be blessed today. Silawam, Mr. Allah.